What if you could reclaim hours of free time each week, create legacy building wealth, and devote more energy to your passion projects without giving up on your career as a life-saving MD? Dr. Vikram Raya is a functional cardiologist, high-performance coach, and real estate expert, is here to give you the tools, strategies, and solutions you need to transform your life, unlock your limitless potential, and achieve greatness, all while freeing up your precious time. Welcome to Limitless MD. Let's dive in.
A lot of people ask, why did you end up getting into coaching? Weren't you a cardiologist? Weren't you this real estate person? And the answer is yes. I'm still a cardiologist as far as I know. And yes, I own a real estate company, that's, quite busy, and it's doing some pretty cool things. But, I learned from one of my mentors, Joe Polish. He has something called the Genius Network. And in one of his teachings, he talks about this concept of elf versus half. And the moment I heard it, it really, really struck a chord. It struck a chord because it's so simple, but it really spoke to a lot of the sort of the decisions, the journeys, the experiences I was having. So just as a quick refresher for those of you who don't know this term, ELF stands for ELF, easy, lucrative, and fun. Half stands for hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. And so this simple tool, rubric, framework has really helped me in the last 5 to 7 years. It's really helped me decide, what I need to lean into and what I need to sort of let go of. And it was during my time where I had just left my formal cardiology position as a cardiologist at a private practice group. I had taken on the passion project of opening up my own functional medicine integrative cardiology practice. It was boutique, concierge, cash-based, and I thought this was sort of my dream. And I really enjoyed it. We were getting like people off of blood pressure medication, cholesterol medications. I was enjoying speaking. I was recruiting people into the clinic. I was empowering people. It was fantastic. And throughout the years, I've been coached by some of the best, business coaches, mindset coaches, success coaches, on the planet. And I always thought, it'd be curious. It'd be nice to one day coach, but I thought I'd have to be in a rocking chair with a lot of white hair and, this beard. And, I'd be like, all right, I'm ready to pass on my knowledge, sort of a Mystery Miyagi moment. But what happened was during the pandemic, so many doctors around the country who've had such a steady growth and no surprises and really successful lives were thrown for a loop. The pandemic closed many clinics. It created so much burden on a lot of the emergency kind of physicians out there because they had to do ER or ICU because of the COVID cases. A lot of people's private practices were shut down. Outpatient surgeries were on hold for a while. Clinics had to become tele. So there was a lot of disruption in the industry. And it was during this time that I had opportunity to speak on podcasts and on summits and things like that. And my story seemed to resonate with a lot of physicians where, I had started off as a cardiologist, traditional mainstream, and with different risks I took that paid off, but I made bold moves to create alternative streams of income, which I call NCI, non-clinical income. And I think that's a really powerful thing because that NCI, non-clinical income, really allowed me to pursue my passion projects. And so one of the passion projects was my clinic. And then the second passion project ended up becoming sort of this coaching practice. And so I started helping friends and colleagues and family members for free. They would just call me. They would say, I want to pick your brain, Vikram. I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. And we'd strategize. We'd think about it. I'd tell them how I'd want to approach the challenge. They'd be like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so I was helping people. And after about a couple of months, I realized, man, this is, I'm spending a lot of time doing this. And someone told me, hey, when did you become a coach? I'm like, oh, I'm not a coach. I'm just helping these guys. He's like, yeah, you're coaching, right? And so then that's when I put two and two together. And going back to my story of Joe Polish and ELF versus half, I noticed that when I was talking to these physicians and helping them brainstorm, I was pumping them up. That was number one. I would see the greatness inside them and I would sort of pull it out of them and say, hey, look, this is what you're capable of. So they get really excited. Number two, I'd look at the problem and I'd define it in solvable terms and I'd find the gap of where they are, where they want to go, and I'd help close that gap. And I'd do it with strategies, with identity shifts, with sort of transformational thinking, with you learn to use leverage and getting other people involved. And you know, it was so much fun for me, right? And so that's when I realized, man, this could be a profession, this could be a job for me. This could be sort of part of who I am. And so I went back to the rubric: is it ELF versus half? And it was ELF. I was easy. I started charging for this, and you know, people were like ready to pay, and I was like, wow, this is lucrative, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. And so really, ELF is a surrogate marker for your zone of genius. And I'll say it again. ELF, ELF, is a surrogate marker for your zone of genius. And I think half is your zone of excellence, your zone of competence, you know? And what I noticed was, though my dream was to have this clinic, integrative functional clinic, and my goal was eventually to have 30 clinics all over the world. I wanted to have one in like Tokyo and New Delhi and New York and Washington, D.C. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have a ton of employees, a ton of clinics. The people in business who know this were like looking at me like, dude, you're crazy. Trust me, you don't want that. And I, as a naive young doctor, I didn't understand what they were saying. I was like, what are you talking about? I can do this. And then, you know, just managing that one clinic over the years became sort of a challenge, you know. Though I thought it was my dream, I eventually realized it was not my destiny. And so part of what I wanted was freedom. And this is where I came up with the concept of the 5 freedoms that sort of I've adapted from some of my mentors who initially introduced it. I really wanted to have time freedom. I wanted to be able to, you know, work when I wanted and not be tied to how many hours I work equals how many dollars come out, you know? And so that's when you start using leverage. And, you know, a lot of people talk about leverage. Just as a refresher, you know, how people you hire or labor is leverage. The money you use and invest can be leverage. Other people's money, etc. You know, code, like artificial intelligence or your own like SaaS product or software product could be a leverage, or it could be, again, eyeballs or media. You know, those are the main forms of leverage. And so I was not using that much leverage in that clinic I was running. So that's why time freedom was challenging there. The next thing was, you know, financial freedom. You want to basically have enough income that's coming in that you don't have to work for, that it covers all your, you know, basic necessities, then your current lifestyle, then your dream lifestyle, right? Those are the levels that I was pursuing. I also wanted geographic freedom. You know, I love traveling. I have a young family. I have 11 and 13-year-old boys. My wife, who's a physician, is pretty free with her schedule. And so we love to go around the world and travel. And it's hard when you have a physical clinic that you're sort of married to. And so geographic freedom was a pursuit I was going after. Then it was vitality freedom. You know, the health and the vitality and the energy you possess is one of the highest forms of currency you have, and most people sacrifice that currency for the sake of a dollar, and it's a mistake, I believe. So I've always emphasized working out, nutrition, longevity, biohacking, you know, mindset. All of that is part of your vitality. So, and the last one is really that growth mindset, that contribution mindset, that bigger thinking mindset. And so when you have these 5 freedoms, you really live a special life. And that is what I wanted. And then as I started coaching, I noticed that's what most of the coaching clients also wanted. And so that became part of my mission. And so I made the tough decision to let go of my physical clinic. I made it telemedicine for a couple of years, but then at some point I realized, look, I have a successful real estate company that's really able to have a huge impact on the world. And now this coaching company is also having a huge impact. You know, I think these are the 2 vehicles I'm going to move forward with. And so that's sort of how I started my coaching journey. And people ask, hey, don't you miss being a doctor? Don't you miss being a cardiologist? What about your identity? And someone told me this, and I really like it, so I'm gonna steal it here. Stand for the and. I was like, huh? What does that mean? So I'm a cardiologist, and I'm a functional medicine specialist, and I'm a high performance coach, and I'm a 9-figure real estate investor, and I'm a super dad, and I love martial arts, whatever. So you keep adding the and I think that gives you permission to be all the identities you want. You don't necessarily need to relinquish an identity. Identity is part of who you are, but it's not only who you are, right? Before you were a doctor, a plastic surgeon, a dermatologist, a ENT doctor, you were something else. And so it's not that was replaced by being a doctor. You added the doctor thing to that. So go back in time, remember all the things you used to be. The physician is just one aspect of it, and embrace it. Don't ever let it go, but you can just add to it, is my thought process. So now as a coach, I really love my life. I would do this for free. I enjoy it. I love the look on my clients' faces when they hit their goals. I feel like I get to participate in their joy, and when they hit their outcomes, I feel like in a way, I've been able to hit my outcome because they hit their outcome. And so it's like this symbiotic joy that you get, and it's awesome. And so, as you pour into others, you're just paying it forward, because all these people have poured into me. It's similar to what Isaac Newton once said. He said, I can only look so far because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And I think I've been able to stand on tons of giants who helped me be able to look further because of their initial hard work. And so now the key is just to pay it forward. And so I'm excited. We're on a mission. Our goal is to help 100,000 doctors achieve escape velocity. And so for what that means to us is we want doctors to live this amazing life. We think they deserve it. They work so hard. They're smart folks. They have a lot of capabilities, but they've been told, like, hey, life is this box and you have to fit inside the box. And our goal is to break open the box and say, hey, look, there is no box. You can practice however many hours you want, however many days you want. You can do your passion projects. You can still be an amazing parent, a spouse, and live the life of your dreams. And that, hence the company's name is Limitless MD, right? So it's a fun journey. So if you do have a passion, if you do have a thing that you're so good at or you enjoy doing, that you do it for free, lean into it, and I've talked about the ikigai, which is a Japanese word for your reason for being. And so just as another undertone to all of this common theme, it's, what are you really good at? What can you get paid for? What does the world need? And what are you passionate, about? And if you can combine those four, that nexus, that is your sort of calling in life. That's your mission. I hope that helps, guys, and look forward to catching you guys on the next episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Limitless MD. If you found value from this episode, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend and let me know by leaving a review. For more information, make sure you check out the links in the show notes below or simply visit vikramraya.com. Until next time, be phenomenal.